Hey guys, what's up? It's Kaylee. I am back with another what sold from last week video. I don't have too much to share. It's pretty much been the same as every other week. Some stuff has sold on eBay and Poshmark, and I am sharing with you guys what it is that has sold well for me quickly, or maybe for a lot of money that you might also want to look out for while you are at your local thrift stores to pick up and flip for a profit. So we're going to dive right into those sales. If you're not already and would like to be, please consider subscribing down below. And if you hit the notification bell, you'll be notified every single time I post these videos. And I try to do these every single week. All right, so everything that sold last week happened between August 27th through September 2nd, and I cannot believe that we are in September. Is it crazy to anybody else? Because I feel like this year has just completely flown by. So I'm going to go over these numbers very briefly, but if you're interested in more of a breakdown, I do have it shown on the screen here if you're interested in following along this journey as I make changes in my business. Currently, we are focusing on increasing our average sale price, which I think is just a good idea for any reseller if you have the capability to. I think we all go through seasons of trying to lower cost of goods, increase average sale price, pick up sell-through rate, everything like that. I just feel like we all go through in waves, and right now the wave that I am on is trying to increase my average sale price again. It used to be between like 35 and 40 almost all the time. Now it has decreased below $30 as I have focused on listing more items, and so I'm trying to get it back up, listing the same amount of items but higher quality items. So that is where we're at, and those decisions I feel like are affecting my sales in a positive direction, and so I'm continuing to track that average sale price week to week. Also, just a reminder that everything that I get comes from a mixture of places, comes from us thrifting, meaning myself or somebody on my team, thrifting, just thrift stores in my local area, or it comes from a wholesaler, which is somebody who thrifts and sends items to me that I purchase. And then we've also been doing a lot of reseller buyouts, death pile buyouts, things like that. In total, I would say most of this is still wholesale or items that we specifically thrifted, but is a combination of a lot of things. If I remember where I got each item from, I will let you know. But just so that you know, almost every single item was thrifted by somebody at some point. Items sold in total, we sold 239 items on two different platforms, eBay and Poshmark. I sold 135 on Poshmark and only 135 on eBay, only 104 on Poshmark. My average item sale price on eBay was $29.57. That's just for the item. It doesn't include what I received in shipping. And then my average item sale price on Poshmark was about $26, so significantly less on Poshmark. All in all, this week, we actually did have quite a bit of a lower average sale price than what I think I'm used to. In total, my average item sale price was $27.92. I am like just every week seeming to get really close to hitting that $30 barrier. Not quite there yet. We're still selling a lot of lower tier items. And lower tier meaning the stuff I shouldn't have picked up a while ago. My older items were flushing out, dropping prices, running sales on, and things like that. It's also worth noting that some of the sales that you're going to see this week, I decided to run a 30% off markdown on eBay, which I don't think I've ever done before. 4 items were about to go out of season on. So dresses, shorts, things like that. I did run a markdown sale for 30% off. I'll probably get more aggressive with the discount as we move closer to fall, which I think we're like kind of in right now, the very beginning stages of. And so I'll continue to do a markdown promotion on eBay and let you guys know how that has affected my sales, but you're going to see some of those today. And then of course we're doing closet clear out at the beginning of each month as well. So let's dive into these sales. So this first one is a brand that is newer to me. It is called Stone Island. It is a menswear brand. Now, I have heard that this brand can be faked, so you want to check for signs of authenticity. However, I did check for a lot of things on this brand, and it did seem authentic. So very minimal logo and branding, in my opinion. And I only need to look it up just because they felt pretty thick and high quality. Here is the inside label. I think I might have actually found these in Michigan when I went on that trip and did some thrifting there. So just a pair of black chino pants. I paid $7.99 for these. We listed them for $120. They did sell for full asking price, and let's see, they took a little over a month to sell. This one also had a small flaw, very small cut in the fabric on the front. Otherwise, I probably would have listed them a little bit higher, maybe closer to like 140, 150. But all in all, pretty decent brand to be on the lookout for. I'm definitely going to put that on my BOLO list. Next up is a brand that I absolutely love, and I especially love it in larger sizes. It is Sundance, and this thing was just gorgeous. I think this was the first time I've ever really come across an item like this in Sundance. It is a very thick, chunky knit cardigan. You can see it's got some different mixed media textures here. I picked this up for $4.99, and we listed it high because it was a very high quality item and a larger size. Listed it for around $75. It did sell for our full asking price. Had a lot of interest on this one. Even when I made the thrift haul, I had a lot of people messaging me about it. But it did take, let's see, this one actually took a couple of months to sell, probably because we weren't quite into colder weather yet. But I'm happy it sold for our full asking price. But yeah, Sundance is a really fantastic brand. I would say size large and up, you're looking at a really, really good sell-through rate. So if you just focus on the larger sizes in this brand, pretty tried and true sellers, and some of them, like this one, go for quite a bit. Another brand I've been selling a lot of, and I know a lot of resellers know about this, but I'm showing it because it's not one that I show a lot on my channel, because I actually, up until this year, have I never find it. It's not in my area. I'm not in a beachy kind of place. It is Johnny Was, very blurry photo here, Johnny Was Los Angeles. Also a size large, going to increase that value. But I've been getting a lot of this stuff in wholesale, which has been really, really nice. I paid $10 for this. It was called the Oriel, was the style name. Top, like I said, it was a size large, so I do think that helped to increase value. Paid $10, listed for $70, and it only took, I think, a week and a half to sell for a full asking price of $70. So very happy to pay up for items, especially when there's a really good return rate. Next up is a brand that is newer to me, and I assume it'll be new to you as well, because there are only a few listed on eBay and only a few sold. So not much information about it, but I thought I would share it. It is called Home Frocks. And from what I can tell, almost everything they have is linen. This is a 100% linen, very log and look, minimalist. You can see we use all those keywords. Midi dress. And I paid $5 for this, listed for around $65. Did have a small spot on the shoulder, but it ended up selling within about a week and a half of getting listed for an offer to watcher of around $55. And so what I normally do, I get this question a lot, is we don't normally have best offer set on eBay. We just do strict, middle of the market pricing that I feel is pretty competitive with what everybody else lists their stuff for. And even if you don't put best offer on your listings, you still have the ability to send offers to your watchers. So that's what I do. I don't offer best offer, but I will send it if I have watchers. And I just do a blanket 15% off. A lot of people ask me how I came to that number, and it is just what I am comfortable with. It is just, regardless of what the price is, I told myself 15% off. I'm cool with that. I feel like there is a lot of room for that, and it's enough of an incentive to get buyers to my item. So 15% is what I mean when I say offers to watchers on eBay. So that's what that one sold for. Next up is a brand I hardly ever pick up. It is Citizens of Humanity. I got a lot of flack in one of my videos because I said I just don't really pick up this brand. It doesn't have a good sell-through rate. A lot of you came on and said it retails for so much, it's totally worth getting. I just don't really see the sell-through rate for most of the styles. However, this was a style I noticed had a pretty decent sell-through rate. They were called the Racer jeans. I do know that Citizens of Humanity men's jeans have a pretty decent sell-through rate, but the women's, not so much. But however, these racer jeans, the style in particular, does have a pretty decent sell-through rate. So we did pick them up. I paid $8.99 for them, listed them for around $45 or best offer, just because I didn't know, much about this brand. Like I said, I hadn't been listing it, and I was going to let the market decide. I actually ended up accepting an offer of $38, which was a very quick, not a quick sale, a very quick sale after I turned on offers on this item. So $9 into 38. I'll definitely reconsider this brand in the women's department, but still going to be cautious and pick up only certain styles. Next up is something I got in wholesale. I actually paid up for this item. I paid $15. It is a 1 teaspoon Free People pair of leather shorts, which I did not know they made this collaboration. I thought that was pretty cool. You can see they're super Western, very festival-like, very short shorts. I noticed on Poshmark they had a lot more attention for this collaboration than they did on eBay. So I was actually thinking these would sell on Poshmark. I listed pretty high. I listed at $75. However, I did run that sale for shorts, which is what this is right here, that 30% off. So I originally listed it for $75. I do think if I would have held out longer, I might have been able to get my full asking price, but this did get caught in that sale. So they ended up selling for about $52 on that sale. And who's to say, they wouldn't have sat until summer next year. So I'm still happy with it. Had I been paying more attention, I probably would have excluded these from the sale just because they were a newer item, but really happy with that, and definitely a collaboration I think you should be on the lookout for. And just like super Western stuff like this in general is really popular right now. All right, next up is a brand I pick up in pretty much everything, but I thought it was worth mentioning in case you weren't aware of it, especially for fall and winter because their jackets do really well. It is Arc'teryx. This is just a women's size extra large long sleeve top. I paid $5.99 for this, listed for around $45, and it sold within about a day of getting listed for my full asking price. This one actually went on an international sale through eBay also, so very, very, very quick sale. Next up is a shoe wear brand that I really like getting is Olukai. Here is the logo. They make pretty high quality, I would say, leather surfer looking shoes. They do both men's and women's. This is my first time finding a pair of men's leather flip-flops in this brand. They were called the Mea Ola flip-flops, and I paid $5 for them, listed them for $45, and they did sell for my full asking price. They took a few weeks to sell, but all in all, I'm glad they sold before summer completely ended because they are flip-flops, and I was honestly about to do a markdown sale on these, so I'm glad I didn't do that yet. But really great brand to be on the lookout for. Olukai is one of my favorite shoe wear brands to sell. Next up is Spanx. This brand has definitely gone downhill. Maybe 2 years ago I would have picked up anything in this brand and considered it a bolo. It definitely depends on what the items are these days. So whenever I come across Spanx, I do get excited, but I always make sure to check the style now. And there is a style number on the inside, which is located on the small tag underneath the material tag. So you can just look up Spanx space and then this style number right here on Google, and it should tell you the exact style name. These ones were called the Perfect Pants, which made a big difference in comps versus just looking up Spanx black pull-on pants. And so I got a lot more information that way and learned that this is a very good style to be on the lookout for. So I paid $5 for these. Definitely a style I recommend looking for, but if you're going to pick up Spanx, definitely recommend looking up the style number first because they're not all created the same. Paid $5, listed for $40. It took about a month and a half to sell, but it did sell for my full asking price of $40. Next up is J. Crew. I actually just made a video about J. Crew. If you haven't seen that, go back. It doesn't say J. Crew in the title, but I think it's titled something like "What's Worth Selling in a Brand you come across all the time," or something like that. But pretty eye-opening video for me. J.Crew is a brand I come across all the time. However, I pass on most items. And so in that video, we did a deep dive as to what is selling consistently with a good sell-through rate for quite a bit on eBay. And I did not include this in that video because it did not pop up in the solds, but this is also something that I would look for. So this is a J.Crew men's popover shirt, and the thing that made this valuable, besides the fact that it's, I was lucky enough to find it new with tags, is that it has the Madras plaid print. So it even says Indian Madras on the tag too, but this particular plaid does really, really well. And if you know what to look up, the MADRAS can make a big difference in your comps. So like I said, I was lucky enough to find this new with tags. It is men's, it's a size large, and it's got the Madras plaid. So I priced it up quite a bit. I paid only $4.99 for it, listed it for $40. It did sell for my full asking price. So lots of factor stacking there. But I thought I would mention that Madras plaid in this brand. All right, next up is another shoer brand that has been performing pretty well. I did discount the women's sandals, so this was included in that 30% markdown sale, even though it is a newer item. So what I found with Crocs is that if you find any other like newer, more fashionable styles and sandals, those perform pretty well, and they're pretty easy to figure out the style name. Just do a Google lens and you'll find it. These are called the Brooklyn Low Wedge sandals. And I paid $9.99 for these, which is paying quite up for Crocs, because they don't sell for a ton, but I knew it was going to be a super quick flip. These ones actually only took about a week and a half to sell. Like I said, I paid $9.99 for them. I listed them for around $50. They did get caught up in that sandal 30% off sale. And so they ended up selling for a markdown of $34.92, which is still really great even with that markdown. And like I said, I'm just happy to move items before summer ends, even if they are some newer items of mine, but definitely style I would look into. All right, I've been selling a lot of this brand lately. It is Toad & Co. I learned that their women's wide leg pants are like highly sought after, so now I'm looking for everything wide leg pant in Toad & Co. These were called the Earthworks wide leg pants. They were a size 8, pretty neutral beigey color. I paid $4.99, listed them for around $35. They did sell on an offer to watcher for about $30, and these ones took a couple of weeks to sell, so pretty quick flip. Toad & Co., not everything is created equal, but definitely the wide leg pants are a bolo. All right, next up is a Ralph Lauren plus size top. I've talked about this a lot. There are not a lot of women's tops brands that you can consistently rely on. However, this brand specifically in plus sizes performs really well and has a good sell-through rate. And you can see this is a pretty plain blue top. I mean, it's got some buttons, but it's just a navy blue top, half sleeve, but it's a size 3X. So I paid $6 for this, listed it for around $30. It sold within about a week and a half for my full asking price. Like I said, pretty good bolo quick sell-through rate in this brand. All right, next up is something I showed in a thrift haul. It is Natori. It is a caftan maxi dress, and a lot of people use the keyword geisha, so I included that in mine as well. This thing was really gorgeous. This particular style has a really great sell-through rate in this brand Natori, so I'd keep your eye out for that. I think I actually found this in the sleepwear section, so there can be some hidden gems in the sleepwear section if you know what you're looking for. This one did have a couple of spots on it. I tried to get it out. It did not come out, so we just listed as is. And I actually listed this in the dress category because that's how people were marketing it. And so I thought it would sell best to that buyer. So this did get caught up in that 30% off of dresses sale where I marked everything down. I originally listed this for $45. It ended up selling for a markdown of about $31. Again, I'm still happy to move it just quickly, but I do think if I would have held out, I could have gotten more for that. And if it didn't have the spots, I could have gotten more for that as well. This one sold within about a couple of weeks. All right, next up is another one that got caught up in the markdown sale. This is a Billabong collaboration with Salty Blonde, which apparently is a collaboration you guys should look for. I didn't see a huge sell-through rate on eBay. However, on Poshmark, it was a very, very popular collaboration, especially their chambray like jumpsuits. This one I took a little bit of a chance on because it was a size extra small, but it ended up selling really quickly, so I'm happy with that. Sold in about a couple of weeks. I paid a little under $8 for it, listed it for $45. Like I said, it was part of that 30% off markdown, so it ended up selling for about $31. But still, again, happy with that sale. Would rather move items than sit on them. All right. Next up is a Y2K sale. This is a Helix, which is not a brand I'd recommend getting. However, this had a couple of factors going for it. It was corduroy, it was a jacket, and it had like that Y2K embroidery, which is really popular right now. I've actually got another item coming up in the Poshmark sales that I will show you that is very similar to this, but this, like, I don't know, just had a very Y2K style to it, and so we picked it up for style. Paid a little over $5 for it, listed it for $35. It sold in about a month, actually, for an offer to watcher of around $30. All right, last one on eBay before we jump onto Poshmark. I tried to include a couple of factor stacking things just because we just did that factor stacking video. And this was definitely a factor stacking item. It was also part of the 30% off sale. So this is a vintage dress. I wouldn't memorize the brand, but it's MPH. And this was a really gorgeous, like bohemian, kind of cottagey midi dress. So it was longer length. It was a trendy aesthetic. It was vintage, which may or may not help to increase value. It was embroidered, so it just had a lot of, like I said, good factors going for it. Like I said, it did get caught up in that markdown sale, so it ended up selling for about $25. I originally listed it for $35, but really happy with that as well for it being a factor stacking item, and I only paid $5 for it. So this could be an item example of something that you could factor stack. I've had a lot of luck with dresses like this. All right, next up are the Poshmark sales. Here's another Arc'teryx item. This is just a men's polo. I'm not going to say much about it. It sold for $29. I accepted a pretty low offer just to get it moving, but Arc'teryx is a fantastic high sell-through rate brand in both men's and women's that I would look for. Here's another J. Crew item. I like to show a couple of J. Crew items just because, like I said, we just made that video and there are a lot of really good things in this brand. So women's blazers perform really well. This is called the Schoolboy Blazer, which is one of their most popular blazer styles in my opinion. It was a size 10, and it's also that classic navy blue with the gold buttons, which is like the most sought after color in blazers in my opinion. I paid $8.99 for this. We listed it for around $50 and accepted an offer of $40 on this item. Next up is a cashmere piece. This is by the brand Nordstrom. Don't normally get Nordstrom. This was definitely a factor stacking piece with it being cashmere, a sweater, and a size large. And it was striped, which adds a little bit of value just because it's print. We paid $4.99 for this, listed it for I think around $55 on Poshmark. It ended up selling on an offer for $46, which is quite a bit for a Nordstrom item. I know they retail for a lot, but their house brands don't normally resell for that much and don't have a really good sell-through rate. So this also had a small hole as well and sold for $46. So cashmere is definitely a factor that adds a lot of value, and moving into fall and winter, I would be on the lookout for it. All right, this was an exciting sale. I actually sold 2 dresses in this brand recently. It is Universal Standard, which does not have a good sell-through rate, but I've learned that their dresses do pretty good. So this one's kind of a more goth overall one. It definitely had a little bit more going for it. And if you didn't know, this brand has vanity sizing, so even though it says a size small, it fits. I don't know what the translation is, but it fits a lot larger than that. They have their own sizing, so in case you come across it. Like I said, this is not a brand that I've had luck with in the past, but I am going to keep my eye out for their dresses because I've now sold 2 of them pretty quickly. I paid $5 for this. We listed pretty high just because of all the buckles, and it ended up selling for $46 on Posh. All right, next up is one of my tried and true brands. This is Eileen Fisher. This is a 2X pair of pants. Anything plus size in Eileen Fisher will go fast, so I always like to bring it up in videos. If you're someone that shies away from Eileen Fisher, get the larger sizes and they will sell for you. We paid $5 for this. It ended up selling for $55 on Poshmark. Here's another J. Crew piece. This was also brought up in that video. It is Liberty fabrics in collaboration with J. Crew. This is a smaller size shirt, a size 4. I don't think it was a very desirable Liberty print. However, it's still sold for $29 and I paid $5, $29, $30 for pre-owned t-shirt, and any brand in my opinion is pretty good. All right, next up is that Y2K piece that I was talking about with that embroidery. This is a vintage Y2K, like 2000s Lucky brand cardigan. It was really gorgeous actually. It was kind of drapey and tight in the front. I chose this as my cover photo just because that's where most of the embroidery was. We did use the keyword Y2K, and it did sell pretty quickly, so definitely keep your eye out for any kind of Y2K embroidery, especially in, like, I don't know, sweatpants I'm having a lot of luck with, sometimes hoodies, men's and women's, so just keep your eye out for it. But I do know that these Lucky brand Y2K ones do pretty good, and here is that label as well. That is a little bit older. All right, next up is a ModCloth item. I do not get this brand very often, but when it is a larger size, I look into it. So this is a 4X maxi skirt. It is multicolor. It's like a fruit print, novelty print. So lots of factors going for it. I paid $6. It sold for $27 on Poshmark, and it did sell pretty quickly as well. Here's another skirt. This is actually a skort, meaning it has shorts underneath. This is a brand Donna Joe. I don't think you'll come across it very often. There's not a lot of them out there for resale, but it does have a pretty good sell-through rate, so I thought I would bring it up. We actually found this at the bins, and it's just a size 2, but it did sell for $27. And I just checked, they still have a pretty good sell-through rate in all sizes on eBay. Next up is a jeanswear brand that I hardly ever pick up. It is Vegas. It does have that like thick stitching look, which is why I always look at it. But Vegas is not a brand that sells very well in general. However, their larger size jeans, depending on the style, can do well. This is the Heritage fit jean in a size 16, and they had a pretty good sell-through rate. I listed mine for about $40 on Poshmark and accepted an offer of $34. I actually think Posh Review sent out the offer and the buyer accepted automatically, but $34 for a pair of Vegas jeans is really good. You just have to know which ones are worth getting. So the Heritage fit and larger sizes are definitely worth getting. Next up is Under Armour. This is the Showdown pant. What I've learned with this brand is if you find any men's pants that have a specific style name on the inside, it's probably worth getting. As always, do your comps, do your own research, form your own opinions, and sell at your own risk. But that is what I have learned about this brand in general. So these are the Showdown golf pants. They sold for $29 for me, and I paid $4.99. Here's another Johnny Was top. Not much to say about this. Just wanted to throw this out there just because I'm just so excited to be selling this brand. So this one is the Maconis, I think it's pronounced Maconis, embroidered tunic top. It sold for $99 and I paid $15 from wholesale. All right, this is a Free People item. Free People's really gone downhill for me, but I always say do not completely discount a brand because there are still some things that sell for quite a bit of money. So this is a newer style, new with tags item. It was called the High Jump long sleeve shirt. And we picked this up for $3. It sold for $55 on Poshmark. So there are still some things worth getting in Free People, Mall Brands, Anthropologie. So like I said, even though a lot of it has gone downhill, some of it is still worth getting. So I always just do a Google lens or look up the style. All right, this one's a newer brand to me. It is Gypsy. I don't know if it's Gypsy 05 or just Gypsy. I'm not sure. I honestly only picked this up for factor stacking. It was a pair of silk jogger pants, which to me adds a lot of value. After looking them up, they did seem to have a pretty good following. So silk and joggers, but maybe a brand you want to look for. I paid $4.99 for these, listed for $40 on Poshmark, and accepted an offer of $34, and those were a pretty quick sell. Next up is another pair of joggers, and pretty much any kind of women's joggers or sweatpants in nicer materials. I would just look them up. Any kind, even if they're like pajama pants. I would just look them up. Merino wools, cashmere, silks, any of that. Just look them up. I've had some really, really fantastic luck with that, especially from the pajama section. This one is Naked Cashmere, which is a pretty good brand for resale. Paid around $5 for this, and like I said, they're a pair of cashmere joggers. They did have a little bit of issues to them, some wear to them, and they still sold pretty quickly for $63. So a lot of value there, and definitely a brand worth memorizing. And lastly, I had to end on a J.Crew item because I sold another item that we talked about in that video, which is the Baird McNutt linen for J.Crew line. This is a women's button-up shirt in a size 10. I paid $4.99 for it. It sold for $31 on Posh. Alright guys, so that's it for what sold last week. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. Hope to see those sales continue to bump up as we move into Q4. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.